Hello, everybody. This is Wicked Gaming, and I am back with you today to go over how to do research in DarkStar Manufacturing. I get a lot of questions about this, mostly from new players who probably feel a little overwhelmed with everything there is to do and accomplish to unlock this mod to its fullest extent. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. First, I will grab my resources. You can, get yours from purchasing them or farming for them, whatever you need to do. Second, we are going to pick up the research slate. Right there, DarkStar Manufacturing Research. And what we're going to see here is a list of the research and when they need to be done. And you'll notice that there are 4 pages of this research. So I understand why this can feel a little overwhelming. What we're going to talk about then is there are several different groupings of research. Some you'll be able to do right away. Some you may have to wait a while depending on your level. So the calibrated quality tier can't be crafted by you until you do the quality 2 research. That's what this line is basically talking about. And then every research after that requires the one before it. So quality 3, or being able to craft refined, requires you to have accomplished quality 1. And it also requires you to have, that's it. Both of those require spacesuit design 1. And I'm sorry, I'm going to stumble over my words here and there. I am human. Quality 4, advanced, requires you to have quality 2 and 3 completed. So you have to be able to make calibrated and refined in order to make advanced. And you also have to have spacesuit design 2. And then it keeps going from there until finally you get to the highest quality tier added by this mod, which is Relic. And Relic requires you to have finished all 6 of the previous or all 5 of the previous researches and have special projects too. So by then you will have, I scrolled back up, you will have spacesuit design at least 3 and special projects at least 2 in order to craft all quality tiers, and that still requires you to have all of these researches complete. Quality 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now, just because you can craft them, this says I can craft Relic, you also have to be eligible to have a weapon of that quality. So we'll get into that in a future episode. Next up, though, is the enhancement section of research. This is where you can have any piece of apparel, for example, apparel enhancement. You can have any piece of apparel that you found in the game as loot, whether it's purchased, dropped from an NPC, found sitting on a shelf at a point of interest, or you've crafted it yourself. In some way, you have come into possession of a piece of apparel, and then you can take it to an apparel enhancement workbench added by this mod to turn it into a new version of that apparel. There are definitely reasons you would want to do this with every piece of equipment you get in the game. It unlocks a lot more that you can do with that apparel, including being able to craft the quality of that item. You can't change the quality of a normal piece of apparel. It has to be an enhanced, or what I call Mark II version of that apparel. This research allows that to happen. So for that research to happen, you have to have, or to be unlocked, you have to have spacesuit design level 1. The same is true for enhancement of cyberware. So these are your neuroamps and things like that. Headwear, which are like hats and the fish worker mask, things like that. Armor, which is spacesuits. Helmet, which is your spacesuit helmet. And boost packs, and backpacks in general. All of those require spacesuit design level 1. And then when we go to weapons, it requires either weapon internals 1 for ranged weapons or blades 1 for melee weapons to craft their relic level. But they also, but to craft the weapons raw. But in order to do the weapon enhancement, you have to have weapon engineering 1. Volatile crafting is where things get a little bit more hectic for people. This is where most of our questions occur around research on the Discord. Um, Vile/volatile crafting. Volatile is the general term I use for the ammunition consumed by Mark III weapons, and vile weapon crafting is the crafting bench used to create Mark III weapons. Now, vile weapons or Mark III weapons are the particle beam version of a ballistic weapon. This means you won't be able to do this with an Orion or a Solstice, etc., or a Varun Inflictor. Those things are already either energy or particle beam weapons themselves, so they don't get this conversion. And vile is referring to the fact that you are corrupting that weapon to turn it into a particle beam weapon. You do this by adding a particle weapon core or a weapon particle core. You can't just do that out of thin air. You have to learn how to do it. Your character has to learn the techniques and the processes. So we start with Particle Core Research 1. This research requires Weapon Engineering 3. So this isn't going to be a cheap thing to acquire. It unlocks the weapon crafting bench recipe to create an extracted particle core. So that means once you do this research, you're going to go to the weapon crafting bench created by this mod, and then you are going to craft an extracted particle core, or a DarkStar extracted particle core. These are made by consuming any one of the 4 vanilla particle beam weapons that you can find in the game. So in order to create this, you have to complete this research first, Particle Core Research 1. Then you have to loot, purchase, acquire somehow a Big Bang or a Novolite or a Varun Inflictor or a Varun Star Shark. Once you have one of those, you can go to the weapon crafting bench and create an extracted particle core from that weapon. That's you pulling the particle beam capacity, the mechanics out of that weapon to gut it so that you can learn how it works. Once you craft one of those 4 recipes, then you can go back to the research bench and continue from there. So Particle Core Research 2 requires that extracted particle core that you just created, and the completion of Particle Core Research 1, which you have to complete in order to create an extracted particle core. And it also requires Weapon Engineering 3. That research, Particle Core Research 2, will unlock the ability for you to craft from raw resources a DarkStar weapon particle core. You will no longer need to extract them from something else. You can create them from scratch at the weapon crafting bench at this point. That will then allow you to craft the Mark III weapons. But you won't be able to shoot them without ammunition. So the next step is you have to do volatile ammo research. This unlocks the ability to create volatile versions of your ballistic ammo at the ammo crafting workbench. This is to A, add flavor to this whole process, B, make this something that you have to put thought and effort into to make it more balanced. Because these weapons, these Mark III weapons, are absolutely absurd. So, getting back to that real quick though, if after you've done the Particle Core Research 1, you create your extracted particle core by pulling the parts out of an in-game particle beam handheld weapon, you then take that, do the Particle Research 2, which is going to allow you to craft the weapon particle core that you will need in the future. You then go and complete the volatile ammo research, which allows you to create the ammunition you will need to fire a particle beam Mark III weapon. And then you do this final research, Vile Weapon Manufacturing, which requires you to have been completed the rest of these, have Special Projects 1 and Weapon Engineering 3. Once you've done Vile Weapon Manufacturing, you can take a Mark II weapon of any ballistic type to the Vile Weapon Crafting bench, and then you will be able to turn it into a Mark III weapon, which will then fire volatile ammo. For example, if you do this with a weapon that shoots the 11mm ballistic round, you can then create volatile 11mm particle beam rounds, or it'll be called 11mm volatile. So you'll be able to create 11mm volatile, and then you'll have a weapon, a Mark III weapon that shoots 11mm volatile. Okay, I know that's a lot. Finally is the legendary crafting. So every base game or vanilla legendary effect has its own research listed either under equipment or under weapon in the research terminal. So if you want, for example, instigating on a weapon, you will need to do the research for the legendary instigating. So on and so forth for every legendary you want. If you only run 2 or 3 legendaries ever, if that's the only thing you ever want on a weapon or a suit of armor, then you can selectively do just those researches and ignore the rest of them if you choose. There are a lot. There's about more than 30 per thing, per type. So more than 30 weapon ones and more than 30 equipment ones. Once you have done one of those researches, you can then install that legendary effect on any weapon or piece of equipment appropriate to that legendary effect. And then finally, there are some proprietary legendaries created by DarkStar in this DarkStar Manufacturing mod that are only installable once you have completed DarkStar proprietary legendaries research under the material analysis section of your research station. And I know that's a lot to say, but basically we get a lot of questions about all of that. So I figured it was worth having a video that just talked about it loosely. I went over the notes with you just now. I will show you this character has completed them all, but here is the DarkStar research under material analysis. So this is where you see the quality researches 2 through 7, and it's numbered 2 through 7 because 2 is the first quality level. Quality level 2 is calibrated. And then it goes from there, all of those, and then you have the proprietary research. To click into this, discover how to fabricate proprietary multi-use level-locked legendary effects invented by DarkStar Manufacturing Research and Development. Warning, may be unstable. By completing this research, you assume all responsibility for any self-harm caused during the use of these legendaries. DarkStar Industries and none of its subsidiaries can be held responsible for any side effects or undesirable consequences. So, a fun little bit of lore. This is to say that if any legendaries are ever going to break in this mod, it's going to be one of these new fancy ones because they are very complex and very powerful. Next up would be the equipment section and weaponry section. If we go under equipment, you'll see the apparel, cyberware, headwear, etc. enhancement research. So DarkStar enhanced apparel manufacturing, etc. These allow you to enhance a piece of gear. And then we have all of the legendaries themselves. So this is ablative, acrobat, analyzer, etc., etc. It's a very long list. And, again, you can pick and choose which ones you want to do, or you can do them all. And as you can see, they require spacesuit design too, and special projects too, in order to do these researches. And then weaponry is very similar. You end up with the enhanced weapon manufacturing. That is the ability to create a Mark II version of any weapon. Then there is the legendary fabrication for anti-personnel, etc., etc., etc. We go to down here in the bottom. So way below all of this stuff kind of mixed in. Is the volatile ammo research, the Particle 2, Particle 1, and vial weapon manufacturing. So that's where everything is located. You may need to scroll a bit. It's a long list. And I can tell you right now, it definitely takes a lot of resources and a lot of time to do these legitimately. They are totally worth it, though. Every member of my Discord who has completed these will tell you, do it, it's worth it. For those of you who have asked in Discord and on YouTube videos, can I extract legendaries from equipment that I find in the game? No, that is not what this mod does. That is the DM Legendary Recycler. If that is your preferred playstyle, use that mod. If you don't want to have to do a pile of research on every character to unlock the quality tier, crafting, and everything else, then use the Skyrim Extended Craftable Quality mod or some alternative. This mod does not do those things in those ways. It does everything those do, but conceptually different, with a different approach, more focused towards balanced gameplay. So it's up to you to decide which one you do, but just know this research station is going to be your best friend for quite a while until you finish all of the research to fully unlock this mod. None of the research is specifically level bound or New Game Plus bound. All of the research can be accomplished if you have the skills to get the research unlocked. So whatever character level you are, if you have special projects 2, 3, spacesuit design, weapon engineering, etc., you should be able to accomplish the research. And from there, everything is up to you. The one final note is that some of the research components require tools, which can be crafted in the industrial workbench. You will see them listed here: caliper, clamps, vacuum tapes, etc. And one of the other most common components is in the weapon crafting bench. And that is I'm scrolling, the DarkStar Quantum Harness. A lot of times when you see crafting recipes, it'll say on the screen up here where the resources are listed that are required, it'll say DarkStar Weapon ... It's usually trying to say DarkStar Weapon Particle Core, but the user interface cuts it off. So these two things are used all over the place. The Weapon Particle Core is on any Mark III weapon. To create it or to add an amplified particle core to that Mark III weapon, you need this component. And then the Quantum Harness is used in every single legendary crafting, the Mark II crafting, the Mark III crafting, etc. So these are used everywhere. Now, DarkStar Quantum Harness can be looted from bosses. That was added by this mod. If you may end up with another mod that steps on it, if you have a mod that changes boss loot, you will want to probably have that load before this mod so that this mod wins that conversation. To make that more palatable, this mod does add additional legendary drops to boss chests across the game to make it more palatable to just run this mod for legendary boss loot. So, and there are some other nice little surprises in there, like the chance for bosses to drop Mark III weapons. So you may be able to get one before you can craft one. With that, I'll end this video here, and I'll step into the next video in just a moment.